Hello and welcome, heroes, to the Crit Academy. I am your host, Justin.
And I'm your co-host, Austin.
And I'm your co-host, Ian.
This podcast was created to provide you, our heroes, with new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
We hope to inspire you with creative content that you can bring with you on your next adventure.
Our show may not be suitable for young children, but neither is our D&D games.
Honestly, it's never. They're never suitable.
Moving on to our main topic today, dragon lore. Once again, this is a different approach for us because a lot of this needed to be snipped from sources to make sure it was accurate. If you're curious of where our source is, the primary source that I pulled out of was the Dragonomicon. I have a bunch of the 4th edition books, so it just is easier for me to use those as resources, as well as some stuff that I pulled from the 5th edition Monster Manual. I am no Alan McCoy, and I did not go through every edition to read all the lore, because apparently there is a lot when it comes to dragons.
Which I guess we could assume, given the name is Dungeons and Dragons, but still.
Right?
Wasn't the original Dragonomicon back in 3.5?
See this look? This is the look of a guy who has no idea. But I have the 4th edition one. Yep. And I only have the one. There's two. One for metallic dragons and one for chromatic. I have the chromatic one.
Yep.
So, anyway, so that being said...
I unfortunately didn't read through either one as much as I'd like to, because
they're so big, yeah! So more ink has been spilled on describing dragons than on nearly any other creature, and as we were just discussing, that's definitely true in the lore of the world, as well as in our world of resources. You know, these ancient, noble, yet savage beasts are favorite subject of guidebook, bards' tales, and ancient tombs and scrolls. Now, do you guys know the difference between, like, a dragon and, like, a drake?
Yep.
Oh, why don't you tell me?
Drakes don't have wings.
Okay.
That's the short version.
That's a good short version. What about you? Anything else?
Not a clue.
And they're more animalistic, too, so...
Yes, they're not as intelligent. So
I did not know that.
That's why they're trained by, like, stupid monsters that barely can, you know, like goblins train them and stuff, you know? And they give them meat and they eat. That's the way it goes.
I did not even know that either.
I am a very proud person.
You are many things.
That's true. True dragons are winged reptiles of ancient lineage and fearsome power, with lifespans that stretch into the millennia. Because of this, they are pretty much a repository of this vast knowledge and ancient secrets of all the world, which make them really great NPCs, not only to be feared, but for their cunning, their greed, and their just knowledge in general, making them some of the most powerful creatures on the planet.
Oh, yeah.
Which, that's probably why it's called...
Dungeons and Dragons.
Right? Dungeons are prominent, and so are dragons, apparently. So, the first thing I really want to talk about is, do you guys know what the origin of the dragons are?
Yes.
Why don't you put it in your own words what the origins are?
They essentially are the offspring of the two dragon gods, Bahamut and Tiamat, who was created by Io, which is a greater dragon god.
Yeah, you're right. So Io is, as legend has it anyway, in our dungeon delving here. Now you gotta understand, we went into some deep dungeon delving. We had to crawl through some pits to get this knowledge. So
I'm pretty sure I got stuck on something.
Yeah, you got your right on that old grate, that shit grate.
God, fucking.
Yeah, it was pretty horrible. It was all rusty and stuff, and messed up your clothes. It was gross.
Man.
But we managed to get it. We did this for you guys, so I hope you appreciate it. So, you know, based on what we found in, you know, our investigation, you know, Io, legend has it, you know, created dragons in his own shape, but without his divine spark, which is basically what makes a deity, right? They have a spark that makes them godlike, I guess.
They can essentially create things at will, and it's like, well, you know.
He basically created these in his own image when the primordials created the world. So even though they were living in the mortal realm, though, in their blood and in their veins flowed the power that came from the plane of elemental chaos, which is part of the reason that they can spew gouts of energy, whether it's flame or cold or ice, not because it's a feature of their normal biology, but because they have this kind of chaotic energy
just kind of built into them.
Yeah, flowing through them. I would say it's akin to like a sorcerer. because sorcerers' magic come from their bloodline within, and that's kind of what that reminded me of a little bit. But because of this, they also develop these very keen minds and very lofty spirits that link them directly to the astral plane, which I think is pretty cool. But that might be true of every creature, right? Or no?
It depends.
Oh, thanks for clearing that up.
I suppose, right? I mean,
at least every regular mortal creature probably.
Right.
I guess undead probably aren't.
I suppose they have some like tether to it to some extent.
Yeah. But what happened to Io? Apparently during that thing we were reading, apparently during the wars between the gods and primordials, the King of Terror, one of these terrifying primordials, basically cleaved Io in half. And some claim, huh?
He's dead, Jim.
Yeah, I can't fix that. Give me a heal check. There's no heal in that. So the claim is that when this happened, his spark split in two, and that's actually the origin of Tiamat and Bahamut. Now this is only said nobody knows for sure because nobody was really there, right?
Yep.
This is like a lot of lore. You got to take it with a grain of salt, I guess.
Yeah, because it's like a bit different from what I said earlier, but I know for a fact I've read what I said earlier from other editions too.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons why I was very specific about saying where I got my source.
Yeah. Because
there is conflicting differences between the different Dungeons and Dragons world editions. Thank you.
Yeah.
And they're slight, and some of them are more clear than others. So just keep that in mind as we're going through this. So. Red Dragon's just ate some jalapenos and has indigestion. That's funny.
I'd believe it.
So we go to a Thai restaurant.
Oh, God. So basically, the loss of their father forced the dragons to adapt to the ever-changing world. Which, let's be honest, older folks don't like change. So that was probably really, really hard for dragons.
They probably just had to find a mountain, blow a hole inside, and they're like, I hope no one ever comes here. And then just every year, there's some stupid-ass adventurer coming in, and he's like,
comes after my horde.
Like, I want your money. And the dragon's like, oh, God.
I'm so tired of this shit.
One job.
I should have got more minions.
I need a different mountain.
Now, because of the loss of their father, and them being forced to change, this also meant that their philosophies and lifestyles vary significantly.
I guess I never thought about that. Yeah.
Right. I mean, because and we'll talk about more about it. Why some followed Tiamat and why others followed Bahamut. But part of that is this cultural shock that happened at the loss of the one that created them. And some of them were more vengeful than others, while others just wanted to live in peace and carry on with their life, which is just fantastic information.
Right.
Yeah.
Remember, you can just summarize. You don't have to read what notes we've taken. You can just summarize.
Yep. And those dragons who held on to and embraced their link to the elemental chaos, they allowed that power to manifest in themselves. They become destroyers and wreak havoc to this day. Many of these dragons chose to follow Tiamat, whose hatred of the world that killed their daddy colored their every deed and attracted dragons who celebrate their antagonistic relationships.
I can totally just see all of the heads of Tiamat just saying, "Y'all killed our daddy." I don't imagine they all talk at once, but if I did, that would just be like them echoing, "My daddy."
It's a cacophony of Tiamat's voice.
Just think about it. If that's accurate, then Tiamat's just throwing a tantrum.
Essentially, right?
A millennia long a tantrum. You killed my daddy. It's Tiamat or Tiamat?
I've heard both, but I usually hear Tiamat.
Okay.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's right, but...
Right.
And as although some of our past guests said, oh, if you look into, not DM's Guild, the other one.
Drive-through RPG?
No. Because I don't use it. Matt uses it.
I don't. Oh, D&D Beyond.
Yep.
D&D Beyond.
Those pronouncers.
Anyway.
Cool.
Yep.
So a number of...
Oh, you're blue, aren't you? Sorry.
Yeah. A number of the other dragons chose to follow Bahamut, the Platinum Dragon, who is a big shiny metal dragon And over the ages, Bahamut upheld justice and opposed evil and liberated the oppressed like a hero would. But in doing so, he became the beacon of justice, protection, and honor, and all those fancy, lawful, nice things. Many dragons revere Bahamut as their originator, but not all worship him. We do have Tiamat, who also exists. In both cases, gradually, these deities began to draw other races to their cause, each building their own following throughout history.
And that definitely is true with Bahamut, because we have a lot of players that will take on him as an aspect or follow his temple or his ways or any of that stuff as
Even
a cleric or a paladin or...
Even in our current campaign, we have a paladin who
Yeah,
is a follower
Matt's
of
a
Bahamut.
follower of Bahamut, isn't he?
Which is hilarious because he's a tiefling.
Yeah, right.
I
well,
wonder-
you know what? I don't
I
think
know that-
Bahamut's racist.
And I know tieflings aren't tied to being evil. It's just a stereotype.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's why I think they're funny when they're clerics or paladins.
Yeah, honestly.
Yep.
Question though, would you be able to be a follower of Tiamat then?
Yes.
Yeah.
Isn't that what Archon is in the Critical Role series?
I don't watch Critical Role.
Me neither.
I'm pretty sure Archon, Joe Manganiello's character, is a Oathbreaker paladin of Tiamat. In and of itself. So, and actually, I think that's going to come through in our adventure that we're running. If you don't know, bi-weekly we run Descent into Avernus, and it is now being streamed. We don't usually stream stuff, but we figured, what the hell not? So we are. So you can join us this Friday, I think.
Yep.
Yeah, this Friday actually. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So anyway,
Alright, and now into the life cycle of dragons.
Yeah, they have a life cycle.
It's a long one.
It's like a butterfly.
That lasts thousands of years.
Right?
last thousands of years.
Dragons.
So awesome.
Let's get this out of the way. By and large, with some exceptions here and there, they lay eggs in small clutches. And how many they lay, it depends on what kind of dragon we're talking. And the females tend to lay eggs about once per year, but they don't usually do it that often. But the nest consists of a mound or a pit, depending on where the parent gathers and lays the eggs. And wherever they bury said eggs in, it depends on what kind of dragon they are. The average dragon egg is about the size of a rain barrel, and they tend to have the same color as what kind of dragon they came from.
Yeah, remember that these things are huge when your players try to walk off with them.
They're not chicken eggs.
Yeah, they're not like this big. They're barrel sized. I mean, you better start hauling
You're just
them.
like, let's get the barbarian and do it. I don't want to do it anymore.
Tank, come here and carry this shit.
He's like, oh, I pick thing up. Oh, wait. I hear heartbeat. It's weird.
So once they hatch, and I didn't go into the incubation and all that stuff. There is a whole lot of lore tied behind the incubation. The big thing I guess I want to allude to is that generally their surrounding is part of that. So if you've got a red dragon egg, it's not going to hatch unless it's somewhere where it's hot.
Like a volcano.
Yeah. So those are things to keep in mind if you're planning on allowing, introducing this sort of thing to your players at any time. So once they hatch, though, you get the first form, which, by the way, is pretty... I mean, wormlings are pretty big creatures in and of themselves. I'd say they're at least people size, right? I think...
Jeez.
I think wormlings are what? People size?
It's a newborn and it's already as big as I am. That's no fair.
They're medium size. So a newly hatched dragon is a full array of abilities, which we've seen in 5th edition. They usually have at least the breath weapon, right? Although inferior to those of the young dragon, these abilities are significant because it basically allows the creature to take care of itself, which it needs to, because they don't all get along with their parents. So it becomes pretty important that they can at least take care of themselves in a easy, simple manner. And just frying stuff or freezing it or paralyzing it with your breath is a good way to allow a dragon to survive. What I didn't know is that there is a thing called interweaving, where dragons' centers of memory and instinct is stored and is passed on from the parent, which basically means these dragons are born with a substantial amount of the parent's knowledge imprinted on its mind. Did you know that?
No.
They're not dumb. They are born with lots of memory and knowledge. I would say it's up to the DM how clear that is.
Right.
But the fact that they're already born with that information is huge.
Is already have like a language down and they can just speak like
People.
Yeah, it's so weird to think about.
Yeah, he just pops out and says, "Hey, what's up?"
like-
"What's cracking, little bitches? Besides my egg."
It's like, "Hi, Mom," and it's like, "Oh, hello, son.
Oh man.
I'm glad you're awake."
Oh, I think I pinched my nut. Damn it. That's on the internet now. So after they're a wormling, after a few years, they start to grow. By the time the wormling becomes a young dragon, which is the next step in their cycle, it has grown to roughly the size of a horse, and its hoarding and layering and terrestrial instincts are stoked like a raging fire. The young dragon basically at this point must leave the nest if it hasn't already done so, and personality comes into play there, so some might be more ready to fly the coop just like I did when I was young, or some might want to hang around like my buddy Kirk, who I think still lives with his mom. So he's my age, I think. So
I was glad I finally got out of my mom's house in my 20s.
yeah, right. A young dragon must.
I love that.
And the reason why they have to leave at this age is because they start to not only themselves but the parents. They start to get kind of a territory war between them, right? The greed starts to kind of take over, and they want to either get their own, or maybe they start trying to steal from their
Almost
parents,
like drug addicts,
right? Yeah, right. Like, I'm taking it,
stealing some plating off the wall and selling it.
That's funny. Are you following all chat?
Yeah.
There's an app for that.
Yeah, it's not working for me.
Do you open it in browser?
Yes.
Huh. Anyway, you got just all three open, jumping back and forth.
All two open.
Oh, there's 3 YouTube too, but that's okay.
I know, but I was talking that.
That's a good point. Follow us on YouTube. So I think that's interesting because they start to kind of get into this kind of rivalry. They need to leave, otherwise that could lead to problems.
Probably death for the young one,
Right.
to be honest.
Now, it is worth noting, though, that Dragon and their parents or their children do have some sort of relationship, though they're not super keen on like sharing territories. So it's basically like your mom who's tired of you sitting in her house. Get the hell out, asshole. I love you, but get the hell out.
Yeah, this is my house. You need to leave.
What, you think I want to stay here? I don't have a job yet.
and what's cool about this is because they have that love for each other, if the one or the other is in danger, they will still come and help, which I think is really cool to imagine the adventurers trying to bring down a young dragon, then fucking an adult or an ancient dragon show up and just like, bitch, please, and just nuke them all.
And then an immediate TPK immediately happens. It's just over.
Run away.
They fucked up.
Beating up one red dragon, second one appears. Hey, leave him alone. I thought you red dragons hate each other. We do, but it's my brother, and no one beats him up but me.
I like the big brother. Yeah, I like that. That's good. Speaking of the bigger
Dad
brother,
comes by and it's just over. It's like, no one picks on my sons but me.
Shut up, Dad. I love you.
yeah.
Oh man.
Charles actually asked about pseudo dragons. It looks like Ian kind of responded. I think they're actually Fae in 5th edition, aren't they? The pseudo dragons.
It rings a bell, but they've been in quite a few editions. So
The pseudo means fake, right? So anyway,
Like
so after
art, maybe.
they're kind of like their small cat-like cousins.
right, what is so after they're young and they start to grow a little bit older? What's the next phase in their evolution there, Ian?
Well, the next phase in the evolution from after wormling after young is adult. Adult dragons tend to revel in the fact that they are among the muddiest apex predators in existence.
They also know how to do taxes.
That too. At this age, dragons tend to contemplate long-term schemes. Although they tend to devote less time to scheming than elder dragons, they might establish contacts with nearby communities or merchant organizations. The better to learn where and when great treasures will become available.
Told you, they know their taxes.
Yeah.
It's tax time. Swoop in and get me some more.
It was
gold
actually
coins.
a joke, but apparently it worked out.
Now sometimes, depending what kind of dragons we're talking here, their negotiating might boil down to downright threats or bribery. Rather than elaborate manipulations and deceptions employed by some of the more powerful types of dragons.
I think this is really cool because schemes like tax evasion. Can you imagine that? There's a whole dragon whose sole goal is to watch for the bastards that are evading taxes and then steal from them. They're like, we're going to take these gold offshore. When dragons swoop down, grab the whole boat out of the water, and fly away.
They just take the whole boat.
And nobody knows it's missing because they already went out of the way to make it
Yeah.
avoid taxing.
That'd be a really smart dragon, actually. Good job, dragon.
I'm now picturing like Amy Slane's adventurer trying to fight their way through the dragon heart and steal the treasure, only for the dragon to appear. What are you doing in my lair? Bluff check. I'm from the IRS. I'm here collecting your taxes. Take it, please. I'm not going to jail again.
And turns out the dragon's got like a small hoard that he sits on, but then hidden back like a dog buried his bone is the rest of it. So when the tax collector does show up, he's like, all right, here you go. And then when he's gone, he just pulls out another chunk.
He's got like a filing cabinet of like a list of names he writes down.
Dragons are like the 1%ers.
Yeah.
They're hoarding all their wealth.
They're
Oh
just
my gosh,
elites.
that's funny. I wish I was a
Oh,
1%er.
man.
Actually, I still left with the fact that in the anime Little Witch Academia, they actually wormed their way into like a dragon's lair. Like, I thought you dragons supposed to have huge piles of gold, stuff like that. Gold, please. That's old fashioned. I modernize. Click the remote. A bunch of TV screens pop down with stock.
And stock market. Oh my god, that's awesome.
Oh,
I
That's
cracked them so
hilarious.
hard at that moment.
oh man, that's awesome.
That's hilarious.
But if you thought the adult dragon was the end-all be-all for dragons, well, that's typically not the case unless an adventurer happened to walk by. Because they usually become ancient dragons. And by the time it becomes an ancient dragon, has likely found or created its permanent lair and has gathered a sizable horde, one that might have already attracted a number of adventurers. But these ones survived this particular red dragon, I guess, in this conversation. And it has a well and truly established its territory. It might have a few markings around, and you might have found its poop somewhere on a different mountain. But although a few elder dragons continue to expand their domains, most are content with their holdings. They're kind of like, I've gathered. It's like
I'm good.
They're good. They're fine. They're like, I have this nice sword over here. I don't really know why I want it, but it's there.
It's pretty.
It's shiny. I must be. Wow, I've seen a lot of adventures. I'm a lot like them now.
Mine.
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 But also another thing that ancient dragons have is they've gathered minions and sometimes veritable armies of them, and know well the sizes and capabilities of all the humanoid communities within and bordering on their territories. They're these very sophisticated creatures by this point.
Yeah, they're not just, oh, that's mine. I'm taking that. I want more gold. It's,
I mean,
what can I do to ensure I do not lose any of my
Yeah, it's
gold
the-
in my territory?
shoot, when I was skimming through some of the dragons here from 4th edition, like the brown dragons, which don't exist in 5th apparently, like, I am king. I have an actual kingdom.
Yeah, like
I'm king.
and that's pretty much what this ancient dragon is. It's kind of crazy, but sometimes even influencing their development either openly or in secret. Sometimes, because sometimes they're a dragon, and they don't want people to know they're dragons. And some of them spend years hibernating or counting or recounting their hordes for lack of anything better to do. Others ignite conflict because they feel like it and they just want bloodshed. Like other dragons.
You know what comes with war? Funding.
Yes.
Turns out every single war is an elaborate ruse just for a dragon to get more stuff for his horde.
What's
Or
hilarious?
her horde.
Actually, what's hilarious is in Shadowrun, there's some mega corporations, and one was actually run by a dragon.
Oh, jeez.
It
that's
makes
awesome.
sense.
You mentioned
Sadar Krupp.
dragons leaving their leavings behind. If you haven't played either Lunar Silver Star Story or seen Sword Art Online, in both of those, the white ice dragons, their shit is like crystal, like very valuable crystals, either like crafting material or money focusing, or
They crap money.
They crap money, basically, or something good for making magical items and stuff. So that's something that I think could be a really great way to include the presence of a dragon's lair in, aside from all the regional effects, but leaving these the players are hired to go scout out these big boulders that fall from the heavens that are great they're made of this unique metal that's great for weapons, and it turns out just to be dragon shit.
Would that mean
A big red dragon stone.
Would that mean that some types of dragons are actually poopsmiths?
What do you do for that's the real way they get their hoard, right? They shit out stuff and then they trick adventurers into taking it home and turning it into gold.
That's really smart, actually.
Oh man,
Here,
that's
just
funny.
take this. It's better for you.
Now, I did notice that there are some of the stuff I read indicated there was 5 levels of dragon. Elder and Ancient weren't the same in a few of the things I read, but I'm not going to touch on that. We just bundled them under Ancient.
Once again, different editions cover different amounts of things
Yeah.
and different types of dragons more than others. Like,
Yeah.
like for example, like 5th, they really only have like the chromatic and the metallic.
Yep.
Even though they don't really cover the crystal dragons, which are neutral. And even then, those 3 don't cover everything because they're like earthquake dragons, astral dragons, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, there's a bunch of
There's
weird
a
ones
lot
out there.
Now, it is worth noting that just because they fall under a collective idea, I'm a chromatic dragon, I'm red, doesn't necessarily mean that they abide by those ideals. That's just a general collection. Just like not all demons are bad. That's a terrible example because
not
all
all-
demons are bad. Not
That's
all
why they're
people.
demons.
Not all people are good, and not all people are bad. The same applies to like orcs and dragons and stuff. So that is something to consider. I think it would be interesting for the players to run into a red dragon who's really just hanging around and just getting blamed for all the bad shit, and he's not really responsible, you know?
Hey, I didn't do that this time.
Look, I only burned down one house. I didn't torch an entire city.
I could have. Actually, I was just watching the second season of the Dragon Prince, I think it is, where it shows this event that happened in the past, and the dragon wasn't trying to start no shit, but the person wouldn't.
That's the 3rd season.
Is that the 3rd season?
That's the 3rd
Oh,
season.
well, anyways, the person wouldn't do what they were supposed to, which is give up using dark magic. And the dragon basically said, don't give it up. Fine. Just going to get rid of it and fucking nuke everything. And that's what he did.
Well, he tried to.
Well,
Smart.
yes, he tried to. But the point is that not all the dragons, just because they follow a color, are tied to that. But that is the general consensus, right?
Right.
Now, did you know that there is a time in a life's dragon, the only time, where it gets weaker? Did you know that that even dragons eventually succumb to the ravages of age? As a dragon approaches as death approaches the worm, it begins to enter a state known by sages. A couple of the ones we talked to called it the dragon's twilight. Although the average, age of a dragon's twilight is within a couple of decades of its maximum age, some dragons enter this more than a century early, while some enter it in the last few years of their life. So it has quite the broad range.
So did they sparkle during the sunlight during his face?
Yes, that's exactly it, Ian. Twilight is literally the only time during a dragon's lifespan where the creature actually grows weaker rather than stronger. So even the mighty dragons, despite all their power, they're not gods. They're still mortal, right? They don't have the divine spark aside from Bahamut and Tiamat, right? And with the exception of those that decide to extend their life beyond the natural existence with unnatural means, such as the vile Dracoliches. We don't like those fuckers. Those little bastards.
Sounds awful.
Yeah, it is awful. But death does eventually come to all of them. Now, this is something that I think is really cool because I think that would make for a great encounter. What if the adventurers assault a horde or a lair full of minions and traps and all these things trying to keep the adventurers out, and when they finally get there, there is literally a large dragon on its deathbed.
Yeah, like it's just kind of curled up, you know what I
Yeah,
mean? And it's not doing anything.
And you could put that into the mind of the players who are there to steal from this all-powerful thing, that they're going to steal from something that's basically an invalid at this point and is just trying to be comfortable while they die on their horde. Would you as players go ahead and still steal from this guy?
If I was playing a neutral or good character, no. If I was playing an evil character, absolutely.
I would help it. You would help it along, huh?
I would be like, sorry.
I've seen things you people wouldn't believe. I've seen cities burn off the shoulders of Waterdeep. I've seen spells rain down from the sky, burning their lands. All those months will be lost in time, like tears in the rain. Time to die.
Who is that? Is that a quote?
Yeah, I totally ripped it off from Blade Runner.
That's funny.
My character dies after their 4-year time limit.
Oh, dang.
I didn't know that. I mean, I did. I remember I've seen the movie, but I forget about that stuff. So now that we've talked about the lifespan of the dragons, there's something that is universally understood about dragons. It's their attitude and their superiority complex.
Which is, kind of
Bad.
what dragons are.
Right.
Let me make this clear. I do not discriminate between elves, dwarves, dragonborn, gnomes, and any other of your two-legged races, because you're all equally worthless and beneath me in my mind.
Steve says, neutral player. No problem. I'll wait.
It's not a problem. I will wait until you're dead, and then I'll come back and steal it.
Ian, you want to tell us about their mentality as dragons?
Yeah, as we firmly established already, they believe themselves, and in many cases, let's be real here, rightfully so, that they're superior beings.
Right.
They're way more powerful, more intelligent, and a lot more rich. And have a lot more turf that's theirs than most people who are mortal can really claim for themselves.
Right.
And to them, this is not really just some dogmatic belief. It's a fact.
It's a fact. That's how it is.
They know it. And and it is what their personality and mentality is based off of. It informs how they view the world. It may make them seem like they're kind of arrogant dicks when they interact with everybody else, but they kind of view themselves as above that, because they are above that, because they're better than you.
That's true.
I mean,
Okay.
the world is kind of just their playground, if we're being honest.
Yeah.
I mean, trying to humble dragons doesn't really work. You guys need to come down more to Earth. Make me. I'm up here because I have wings and I'm bigger than you. And I have magic.
Well, this reminds me of the really good example in Marvel's Avengers when Nick Fury and Loki's trapped inside that Hulk killer thing, and he says something along the lines of him. Shit, I forgot the line. Do you worry about the ants you step on? Or he makes a comparison about people worrying about ants, how he is above them. God, I wish I would have copied that down. You know what scene I'm talking about, right?
Puny god.
Not that scene, but that was a good one. But basically, he's trying to say, why you coming down here and starting some shit? And he says, you're nothing but like an ant under my boot. And then Nick Fury looks at, ant? Boot, and he looks at like the contraption. But basically that's how it is with dragons.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're just ants to them. They're so strong and long lived. They blink and we age and die, though elves and dwarves live pretty close to the same length.
I remember reading the short story The Gods of Every Other Wednesday, and the general premise of it is, what are the player characters doing when they're not being controlled by players? But as a running gag, the entire thing, they also refer to the elves as those a-holes. And we actually encounter an elf in there. They're like, why do you guys act like you were better than us? Oh, let's see. We live longer. We're better at magic. We establish a civilization where you monkeys still lived in cage. We don't burn down nature. Shall I continue? Now I kind of see dragons as that, only worse. But I can back it up.
Now, this doesn't to say that they don't recognize power, right?
Oh yeah,
Awesome.
yeah, they most certainly can, or like they can recognize people like powerful individuals or great numbers. If
1,000 swords still hurts.
yeah, even though a dragon's breath could probably mow down a good 200, it's still got to roll that die. I would hope it lands out of 5 or 6 to make sure it can mow down the next 200.
I love that you bring the mechanic of the game into their knowledge of, man, I hope my breath comes back out of 6. See a little dragon with a dice? Damn, I'm just going to have to swap him with my tail.
I don't know, I'll just fly up here, out the range of all their melee attacks, and
then-
their ranged weapons. Oh crap, they have longbows.
And then they pull all 800 of them, and it's like and it's just like
sailing needles.
come on, what?
Really? Guns? One of those doesn't hurt me. How about 100 of them? Oh crap.
That might hurt a little more.
Right.
But as arrogant though they are, dragons will negotiate with humanoids if they feel such folk pose a danger or have something to offer that they can't really easily acquire. So maybe if they have the Vorpal sword, they're like, I really like that.
Yeah, that'll look good in my
It
board.
looks pretty. I want it. But even then, though, the dragon measures and values the people in question based solely on their threat or usefulness, not on really any intrinsic worth. The dragon assumes the position of authority in many interactions, and not really of a conscious or deliberate choice, but because, as far as the dragon is concerned, they own the world.
That's the way it works.
This is just how it is.
I may have had a forest domain cleric talk the group out of a fight, even though his charisma was an 8, saying, "Wait, I'm a forest domain cleric. I can make stuff out of metal." Oh yeah? What kind of stuff?
Did you make? You just mentioned recently that you made a statue of him, right? Out of your
Yes,
own
my
gold?
dwarf took his 200,000 gold and made a statue of of the dragon inside dragon's image.
They must have loved that.
They
Probably worked.
They were transfixed.
So,
Look at this. It is me. It is gorgeous.
and it is a good version of me. Is that me looking better than me? I'll fucking kill me!
Oh crap! I did too good of a job.
So now, if dragons are known for their any attitude beyond all others, even above arrogance, it's their
Money.
They're
greed, right?
They like money. They like gold.
Even the friendliest of good dragons is a bit of what is that word?
Avaricious.
Yeah, thank you.
Avaricious.
Penny pinchers. Hoarders.
Even the friendliest of good dragons is avaricious as the stingiest human miser. So, dragons' hoards are legendary. Enormous piles of golds gleaming with gems, magic items, and all kinds of sorts of wealth. Enough, basically, to buy and sell the entire human communities. Yet, just like the rich, they barely do anything with that wealth. They
Yeah.
collect, they don't spend. But they just keep it. I assume they're doing the DuckTales thing where he jumps in and is like swimming through his
Likes
gold.
to swim through the gold.
He's like, I love the way the gold glitters off of my scales.
Oh no, one got stuck. I like the way that feels though.
From our investigations, we talked to a couple of the sages, and we actually talked to a young dragon but they weren't really able to tell us if it was a psychological thing or a biological drive. From what we were able to gather, some believe that the earliest dragons impressed potential mates with their hordes, and so that kind of passed on to their offspring. We talked about the chaining of the knowledge previously. But honestly, from our interactions with the dragons, they basically wonder no more about the origins of their greed than they wonder about how their breath works or their wings. They just accept it as the natural way of things,
There's like, I
What?
like
You don't
it, so
breathe fire
I do
too?
it.
right? So now we've talked about their lifespan and growth. We've talked about their personalities. You know what we haven't talked about yet?
Layers.
Their house.
Yeah.
Ian, do you want to tell us a little bit about their house?
It's not always a giant mountain in the sky.
I mean, and let's face it.
Sometimes it's just a swamp.
I mean, a lot of creatures
dog
have
to
like
my
a
swamp.
stereotype of where they live. Like people kind of picture vampire lords hanging out in a dark, gloomy Gothic castle.
Hey man, that'd be cool.
Charles says it's not the size of your hoard, it's how you use it.
Yeah. Hey, hag, and there's like a hut in the swamp, or the kobold trident. They're like underground caves and crap.
Right.
But each of these locations lends itself to tales of high adventure, and the Dragon's Lair offers so many options and opportunities.
I love good opportunities.
Money.
So, the one thing I really want to touch on, we know that the lair to a dragon is nearly as vital a recurring theme in myth and fantasy as a dragon's hoard or even the dragons themselves. Whether it's as simple as a cave top top of peak of a misty mountains. I love that song. Or a monster-filled death trap strewn with complex that characters must conquer to rescue the kidnapped princess, or a dragon's lair is the epitome of adventure sites. I mean, who here would love to raid a dragon's lair?
I want as many magic items as I can possibly get.
Right?
What if we came across a dragon whose hoard was not gold or magic items, but traps?
Oh,
The biggest ruse of them all.
That would be so devastating to get to the end of it and just find another trap.
It's like, oh, you're here, and then you just see so many things go off at once.
Oh no.
Like, the more magical, the more impressive, the more complex, the more lethal the trap are,
man.
the more they value it. Did you see that here? This is a really nice trap. This one has like 5 layers of magical circles stacked on top of each other that are going here on multiple layers and floors. How did you build this?
He's like, watch what happens when I touch it.
Now watch me do it
And he's
again.
the only one that lives. And he's like, never gets so. Oh, and they're
Suckers.
dead again.
Well, time for me to put the rocks back in the ceiling.
And he's just like, hoo. This is my life.
So basically, what you're saying, a dragon's true lair, isn't necessarily a place at all, but an element of challenge posed by the dragon. And a first and sometimes second, third, or fourth line of defense against intruders. I think that's why they're so protective, because they have to have all these things, because the more wealth they get, the more people are gonna come, and maybe they do just find it fun. I think it would be hilarious to hear a big "hoo, hoo, 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 you fell in a pit trap, silly human,"
He's like,
echoing down.
I built that thing 300 years ago, and people still fall in it.
You fell for my trap card.
Damn it, Kaiba!
Ooh, what about-
Kaiba!
It's like, ooh, the bowler one. I built that one in the last 100 years. I can't believe that one finally went off this time. Stupid idiot.
Usually people step over that one.
He's just making fun of you the whole time.
That's hilarious.
Or with like the treasure hoard is not actual gold or gems, but a library of knowledge.
Now that's awesome. I can appreciate that.
And he's just a dragon with like 2 monocles. It's not glasses.
He shows up, he's got monocles on. That's hilarious.
He's just got 2 big old monocles.
They're basically giant, like, clear dishes.
Yeah. And these books are enchanted, so they won't decay in age. These ones are written in rocks and clay. These ones are etched into metal.
This one's from
Don't
demon
touch those
blood.
ones, because they'll break. This one's made of what?
This one's made of demon blood.
Written on the back of demon flesh.
This was made out of carved into crystal.
I love it.
But most dragon lairs are hidden in dangerous and remote locations to prevent all but the most audacious mortals from reaching them.
AKA
A black
stupid.
dragon might, yeah, usually the dumb idiots who fell in the pit trap just that I built 300 years ago, and I might have been that mortal at that time. But luckily, the dragon was nice enough to let me out so I could interview him.
Yeah.
But the black dragon,
It was a brash dragon, wasn't it? Those guys
yeah.
won't shut up.
But a black dragon might lair in the heart of a vast swamp, while a red dragon might, live in a volcano because it's a red dragon.
I'm thinking brass.
But in addition to the natural defenses of their lairs, powerful chromatic dragons use magical guardians, traps, and subservient creatures to protect their protect their treasures.
Steve says, a pair of monocles? Oxymoron much?
Yeah.
Mono means one, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So you
It's
need
still
2.
a pair of monocles, though.
You need
But
a
it's good.
pair. Like, you're not gonna say I need a pair of bifocals, because that's glasses.
It's still called a pair, though, isn't it?
No.
When I
As
get
far
my
as I'm
glasses,
aware.
it's a pair of glasses.
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
that's because there's bifocals, glasses. Glass
No.
is one object, right? And you have 2 of those in
But-
your glasses.
No, bifocals are 2 different lenses.
And
types of
one pair of
lenses
glasses.
in one-
Yeah, that's
in
right.
each lens.
Clearly, he's not old enough to fit in, and I'm getting too old. Oh, that's funny.
That's fair. But anyway,
You're up, Ian.
Yes, I was laughing maniacally because it's funny. One of the dragon's greatest advantages over intruders is they have wings. They can fly.
Yeah, that's why.
And they didn't even drink a Red Bull.
Yeah, as a DM, if you're not utilizing this and your players are demolishing your dragons, this is why. Your dragon should just be able to grab a person, fly high, and drop them.
oh yeah,
Or they can stay up there. I'm like, I'm just gonna wait for my breath weapon to recharge and just keep nicking
And
from
then
above.
come back down, fly back up, wait for it to come back down, fly back down.
Why'd you come here and fight us like a man? First off, I'm not a man, and B, why do you think I'm hundreds of years old? I'm too smart for that.
Right? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that was a thing that bugs me that happens sometimes.
Yep, and that's why they place a lot of their lairs in out of the reach areas, because they can get there.
like the vast swamp, or the mountain, or inside the heart of a volcano.
Especially the heart of a volcano, or inside a glacier.
Yeah.
A gigantic glacier. Could you imagine like going into like this like iceberg and like the tip of the iceberg is like, you know, this little entrance. You're like, oh look guys, there's a little doorway here. Let's go in it. And you go down this giant like tower, like, and it's obviously sophisticated. And you're like, why? What is down here? And then you meet a dragon. And you're like, oh, that's not good.
So,
I didn't mean this to happen.
So my sister just put my nephew on the screen, and he's got me on the big screen. He's one of our biggest fans. So I would like to say hi to my nephew, and I would like to remind my sister that our show may not be suitable for young children and some adults.
no.
Before something slips through.
Yeah, we don't.
It's not a question of if, but when.
Hi.
It's probably going to be him.
So we were just talking about, you know, their advantage to fly. That is why dragons' lairs are often isolated. But it is worth noting that even when they're isolated, the presence of the lair greatly warps the area around it for miles. And I think 5th edition did a really great job with this with their region effects.
Yes.
That is one of the best ways to elude that there's a dragon in the area.
Or just some mythical being in general. Like
Yeah.
they literally like terraform everything around them.
They literally
crazy.
affect everything, and that's fantastic. So
I just realized in my head how many things from Dragon Ball Z Abridged apply to dragons potentially. Like, I'm now picturing in my head like some adventures, like finding like this random treasure hoard. Hey, what's that noisy here? But you're hearing mine.
And just a dragon just
dragon just swoops in.
Mine.
Who took my treasure, boy?
and he's like,
Time for a barbecue. Anyway,
hey there. It was him. It was not me. I'm here for the ride.
that's why for dragons, distance is a very minimal impediment. But it does severely lower the odds that others will discover their lair, and that's definitely part of the strength of their area being out of reach of others, right? On the flip side of this particular coin, and the dragon's greatest liability when it comes to security is its size. Any ingress large enough for a dragon is large enough to admit potential intruders, and tiny opens that the dragon cannot use and might overlook are ideal for a thief or dragon slayer. I think that's one of the coolest things I don't think I've ever touched on, is that dragons go through all these planning and all these details to ensure their stuff is safe, but they're so big, it's easy to miss a crack we can walk right in.
Although I feel like in past editions they were quite vocal about the point how some dragons were more magical than others and can shapeshift into smaller beings. So
Yeah.
you can only enter a dragon's lair by shapeshifting to some type of a flea, flying through the cracks.
There are there is optional in the 5e rule that actually suggests giving the dragons levels as spellcasters and giving them spells and other things, which I do anyway, just because they're dragons.
Yeah.
I do like the idea of them having because they got chaos blood, like just random stuff happening around them. Like wild magic, which is pretty cool.
Give the dragon Thelos and sorcerer and then roll on the wild sorcerer table.
Right. Apparently my nephew is freaking out. He's so proud of me. Thank you.
Yeah.
I've got 2 listeners. Thank you both for watching. You're not one of them. But anyways, dragons are just full of awesome. There's so much lore, so much story that's tied to them. We barely scratched the surface today.
Yeah, honestly.
Now,
Like, I watched YouTube videos that are hours long, with each individual one just focusing on one type of dragon.
right, and there's a lot. Now, there is one thing that we didn't talk about it much. You guys know what it is? We didn't get into it at all.
There's a lot. We just firmly established there's a lot of things we didn't talk about.
I was
so
thinking-
you left a wide open question.
I was thinking more about combat.
Yeah, that too.
This wasn't the focus of this, but maybe in the future we'll do one about strategy. I would like to, if you guys
touched on it a little bit,
guys
though.
listen, you notice a few weeks ago we had Alan McCoy on. He's actually done How to Fight Like a Dragon, which is one of the reasons why I didn't actually delve into this, because that's got so much, like 8 pages of stuff
Information of how to play like a
on
dragon.
how to run it. So,
Yeah, so.
I definitely would recommend heading over into his Facebook group at Dungeons and Dragons Fundamentals.
Yeah.
And check that section out. It's awesome. So, Do you think there's anything else about dragons that we should touch on before we close out? I mean, we've definitely covered a lot.
I was gonna say I think we
Steven says
covered
how to kill a dragon.
quite a bit. So
Yeah.
And
at least all the stuff that DMs could probably use effectively anyway to kind of give that feel of a dragon. So
And part of this that I really loved is I didn't know a lot of this stuff. Oh, hey, thanks for the follow, Last Leaf of Autumn. That is a cool name.
as a very artistic name. I like that.
I learned a lot about dragons that I didn't know. Because you think about it, this is only the stuff that the DM would know, and only if they went through the trouble to really learn a lot about them, and if it's going to be a core to your game. So I hopefully, as players and as Dungeon Masters, you guys enjoyed this. If you do, let us know. Maybe we can do more lore type episodes, because I feel like this gave us a lot of ideas on what we could do with these things in our
Absolutely.
game. So.
And we haven't even touched like these are just dragons. Like we haven't touched on anything about like devils, demons, like other like angels and all the
There's
other
a
like
lot.
planes of existence that we can just like gush over. There's just so much lore in this game.
shoot, kind of speaking of combat, I kind of chuckle at the fact that I've been skimming through the different types of dragons in fourth ed that aren't in the fifth, and I just laughed at how mithril dragons, they're teleporters from other dimensions.
That's cool.
And they even felt say, "Oh, you're gonna fight me? Screw you! I can teleport. I don't have to fight you.
It's just
Be gone.
You're not worth my time."
Well, I think that means that'll do it for our main topic today. Before we move on to our unearthed tips and tricks, we have another gift to give away. Compliments of our boy, Jeff Stevens. We are giving away a free copy of Villains and Layers 2 by Jeff Stevens. Revolutionize your game with this collection of 28 villainous NPCs from the small fry to world ender, 8 of which include full detailed maps of their layers, which is fantastic, sinister side quests, terrifying overlords, bounties, one-shots, and more lie await inside of Villains and Layers 2.
fantastic stuff.
Once again, thank you to our sponsors at DM's Guild. You can use the coupon Crit Guild, all one word, and save 20% if you didn't win today and you want to pick it up. Who is our winner today, Austin?
Our winner today is
Good luck pronouncing that one.
PR Hildreth.
For Hildreth.
There's a button you have to push.
Yeah. I thought anyone else wanted to crack at it. Maybe.
No, you're the only
For
one.
Hildreth.
No, I mean
Oh,
the name.
I thought when I looked up and looked at it quick, I thought it said Dr. Phil. I'm gonna be honest. I don't know why it's not even close.
Not even.
Oh man.
If you didn't
If
win,
you're dyslexic, maybe.
Not
Not women,
well.
dyslexic people, but I'm saying
right. If you didn't win, have no fear, because Crit Academy is here. Head on over to critacademy.com/Jeff Stevens, and you can pick up Villains and Layers 3 free. And while you're there, check out Jeff's other stuff. Check out some of our stuff. Once again, apply that Crit Guild coupon to get 20% off your next purchase. Now, on to our unearthed tips and tricks.
And now, what you've all been waiting for. Our Unearthed Tips and Tricks segment, where we bring you new and reusable material for both players and DMs.
So Steve says, really good stuff. I'm impressed the amount of research and planning you must go into these episodes. And Ian's like, yeah, not going to lie. Justin does 99% of all the work. He's not wrong.
It's true.
Though I do appreciate the work he's been doing. He's actually systematically breaking apart our unearthed tips and tricks and putting them into little snippets onto YouTube.
Yeah. I'm not doing it as fast as I want to do it.
Yeah, he's not doing as fast as I want him to do it either, but that's life.
I blame being professionally exhausted by my shift.
Yeah.
That's definitely a contributing factor.
I'll
And
allow
me
it.
being lazy.
I'll allow it.
They
But
don't- they fit
anyways,
into each other.
so what you need to do is follow us on YouTube and then just email us and title it, Ian, hurry up and give me more of that sweet, juicy UTT-ness.
I am not giving people STDs.
What? No. Oh, no. So our character concept today is called A Dragon's Wish. Your character was orphaned when they were very young, because, that's a thing.
Yeah.
Your family were traveling through a remote location such as a volcanic mountain, lush forest, or vile swamp. And basically, you can pick this based on your draconic heritage or whatever element you want. During their travels, they were attacked by some wild beasts and devoured. During the attack, you were hidden away in the hollow of a tree. safe from the attack. Your crying drew the attention of a young dragon whose lair was in the region. And upon finding you, she took you to her lair and placed you in her rookery that is now empty. Barbarians had slaughtered and stolen her young while she was out hunting, so she took you as her own. As you grew, she discovered your weakness, because, you're mortal and she's a dragon, but her love grew with you. So, during your young years, she decided to do whatever she could in order to ensure that you could protect yourself, since you lacked your own breath weapon. Using the power of a magical ring, she summoned forth a powerful genie and wished to share her power with her only child, you. Your body took on small aspects of your mother, some scales, maybe some horns, sharp teeth, maybe even a tail. But the most notable feature was the ability to draw upon new magical force within yourself and shape them into spells. You are a draconic sorcerer, after all.
Or a reflavored dragonborn.
Or a reflavored dragonborn.
That is
Either
still
way.
really cool, though, honestly. Like, that is... Oh, man. Like, that's, like, the whole point of, like, wanting to be a draconic sorcerer in general,
Yep.
right? Like, this is, like... Instead of, like, you having, like... I guess the whole, like, yeah, I was kind of born from
This
a
way.
dragon and human way. Like, no, I was, like, found by a dragon. And this dragon, we kind of just have this, like, mutual loss that we just lost our loved ones. And we just kind of formed a pact,
Yeah.
I guess.
Well, you can make it a warlock that way, too.
That's not just
pact-
more like packs that connect to dragons.
Reflavor one of the other ones. Who
I know.
cares?
I'm just saying, I'm being technical here. That's
mean,
being mentioned.
For those of you that are very particular, yes, there is no Pact of the Dragon, but you could probably flavor the Fiend pretty easily, I would
Probably.
imagine.
Also, we probably know Wizards of the Coast, and they're probably going to do something with the
There'll
dragon
probably
anyway.
be one at some point.
Or they probably didn't do it because it overlapped with the Dragonborn sorcerer, Dragon Blood sorcerer too much.
Oh, maybe. There you go.
I mean,
Anyways, now this isn't limited to the Draconic Sorcerer. It was just what I had in mind. But Ian had tossed something in chat that was very similar, and I was like, oh, I could build on that. And then it went to me building on it from a fairy tale standpoint. Then it went to me building on it from a Tarzan standpoint. So all this is meshed together from like 2 sentences that he fed me, and then me recently seeing fairy tale and Tarzan. So
Or like, you're not even tied to draconic sorcery. Like, let's say
Right.
you were a barbarian. When you rage, you
Oh,
suddenly
there it
grow
is.
dragon scales, which is where some of your damage resistance comes from.
I love it. Remember we were talking last week how the Barbarian's Rage is the most versatile mechanic? There it is right there. I love that.
really is.
Or when the
Honestly.
rogues dodge area attacks when they succeed. I'm just picturing it now in my head. A wizard creates a giant fireball, casts it down. You see the mushroom cloud, but then when the dust clears, you see this crater. But then you see the unharmed rogue briefly there with dragon eyes.
I saw it coming. Oh, that's awesome. I love it.
There's options. That's the point.
Hi. Looks like my whole
sure.
family's watching, so thanks for watching. My show may not be suitable for young children.
It's not just a bit. We mean it.
I'm trying to keep it under
those
control. Yeah. Well, if you guys don't have anything else, I think that'll do it for our character concept, A Dragon's Wish. I love that name, by the way.
It is a good name. Very fitting and just artistically done.
Yeah. Austin, would you like to tell us about our monster variant today?
Sure. Our monster variant today is the Horde Scarab. It was originally a Grick. Horde Scarabs feed off scraps from the dragon's meals and clean the worm's teeth and scales. They instinctively recognize the dragon as their provider and never attack it, but they are quick to feast upon the flesh of any other living being. A Horde Scarab has a dull gold carapace.
Yep.
Carapace.
And when its wings are closed and its legs are tucked in, it resembles an oversized, malformed gold coin.
Carapace.
Ooh, which is that's scary to think about.
Yeah.
The larvae are
Gnarly.
are nearly impossible to tell apart from true coins until they attack as metallic, chiming wave.
Now, it is worth noting that we did cover...
So they're the beetles from the Mummy.
Yeah, we did cover a small swarm that looked like coins previously, and I meant to put it in here and I forgot what
Totally
it was. But this is actually something that's like medium size and huge, and I thought it would be a good fit for this. So why don't you tell us? So what changes need to undergo in the Grit stat block to make this fit?
So it's lost a few features and we've changed a few features. Stone camouflage becomes horde camouflage. I'm assuming it means it loses its tentacles.
Yes.
Remove the beak, and then it gains some new features, which you can burrow 30 feet and fly 20 feet. Has a false appearance, object form only. While the Horde Scarab remains motionless, it is indistinguishable from a treasure hoard of coins. It has a claw melee weapon attack. It's +5 to hit, and reaches 5 feet. You know, the usual.
The big thing is that it grapples when you succeed a hit, right?
Yes. And it does poison damage, which is also kind of surprising.
Yeah. And so also it looks like when it attacks you, it also grapples you, and then it has advantage while it's got you grappled. And then it has a bite attack. Now, what makes this interesting to me is they're hiding in a horde. So I envision them jumping out, grabbing a player, and then dragging them into the horde and attacking them with advantage with no backup from their allies.
And you know there's probably more than one, right? Because it's a...
Oh, definitely.
They're all probably... Could you imagine, like, you just hear, like, them all kind of closing in, like a very, like, quick rumble vibration coming through all the coins that you're buried in? And you're just like, ah, yes.
Oh, this could easily become like a horror movie. Like,
Yes.
Guys walking to the Dragon Horde. Wow, look at all this money.
Billy?
Look at all this pile, Steve.
Steve?
Steve.
Where'd Steve go? Did you guys see the episode, the movie, was it Lost World, Jurassic Park Lost World, where the raptors are in the field and they're taking the guys one by one? That's kind of what I envision with these little monsters.
Definitely feels like it.
Clever girl.
I see what you did there. Would you use something like this in your dragon's horde?
Be fun.
If you're listening, Gabe, can I enter a monster into your dragon's horde item-ish thing? I don't know. I definitely like this. How would you use this? How would you get the most out of this?
So I would probably make it where, like, the dragon is just totally calm.
Just chilling?
It's like, go ahead. Take whatever you want. And for some reason, that's, like, obviously alarming, right?
Right.
Because a
It's
dragon would
terrifying.
never say that. And you're just like, why?
What's the catch?
And he's like,
What's the catch?
and he's like, there's no catch. I'm not going to do anything to you. I'm not.
I'm just imagining Abu, or is it Abu?
Abu.
Abu,
Abu
yeah.
reaching out and grabbing it, and then Abu.
And then Abu's just gone.
You just hear the scuffling of coins, and that's it. You know what you could else do, though? Depending on the dragon, you could utilize that. So what if they are fighting a red dragon, for example, and one of these little creatures grabs somebody and drags them, and then the dragon uses fire breath on the coins to heat them up. So now the person's taking fire damage and being bitten and clawed by this creature that's got a hold of them.
It's just being consumed
Yeah.
while it's on fire.
That's awesome.
The dragon's
I
just
love
giving it a roasted meal.
Roasted adventurer.
Oh, man.
I love it.
Yeah.
Goes great with barbecue sauce. And you're delicious and crunchy.
I think that'll do it for our monster variant, the Horde Scarab. Yeah, go back and check the other episodes for that other monster. They would go really good in that sort of thing. Ian, would you like to tell us about our encounter of the podcast?
Why, certainly. Our encounter of the podcast is... I can't talk today. Our encounter of the podcast is... Draconic Crossfire.
Ew.
In an area that is strewn with several towns and perhaps a city or two, they might have a few mysterious deaths and disappearances that might be a little bit higher than average. The livestock is decimated and disappearing. The people have failed to arrive at their destinations along what they thought was safe roads. And the situation is the sort that cries out for an adventuring party to read something on a bulletin board somewhere. And,
Right.
And the local noble or government officials of some kind is looking for anybody who can identify the cause of the region's issues. During their investigation, they learn that there's a pair of adult dragons that have turned the area into their battleground. The green dragon has attempted to expand on its territory, and it just so happens to include the mountainous area that is claimed by a slightly and way bigger and more powerful red dragon. Idiot.
Right?
The
That guy's
green
bigger
is-
than me. I'm going to go pick on him.
The green is well aware that in direct confrontation, he would probably lose to the red dragon, so he's turning to attacking the area's inhabitants, thereby depleting the red dragon of his food source of livestock and travelers. And the green dragon may have also captured, enslaved, bribed, or done other things to villages and to service to learn the best ways to awaken the red dragon. Okay, I'm now picturing like the green dragon, kind of like the heckler from Happy Gilmore.
You suck, you jackass! Oh, that's funny.
Oh man.
5 miles away is what he yells us.
That's awesome. Now, it's worth noting that the characters must find a way to quell the battle or help one side win over the other.
Yeah, messed me, you sucker!
It would be so much easier to just help one win against the other rather than just quell them both. Because, like, what could you possibly offer to not one dragon, but
It's two.
two dragons?
Well, I think you might be able to get away with the red one just by setting up the green one.
Again, but that's help one side win over the other.
Yeah, if you help pin down the green so the red can devour him, problem solved.
I guess that's fair.
But I think this is interesting because this should be more of an investigative thing that they don't know the answer right away. So they're forced to follow chains of clues that lead to what this thing that's going on in the background of all these events being tied to this little battle. I think as a player, it would be interesting to try to find a way to help the green dragon expand his territory, not into the red dragons, or convince the red dragon to let him shift his territory into another direction. So he might lose a little bit to allow the green dragon to get what he wants, but he gains more in another direction. Maybe it's you're making a deal with a clan of orcs in their territory. Hey, we're working with this buddy. We're trying to get him to expand his territory. How would you like the protection of a dragon, and only at the cost of an occasional few of your buddies? Right?
I think
I don't know. I think it would be an interesting idea and an interesting concept.
I would much rather. Now, hear me out.
I'm
Because I'm a
hearing.
chaotic player.
I'm listening.
Why not summon a bunch of demons and just let them take care of the problem? Just let them take on the dragons, because, you know, there's like infinite demons, right? There's a finite of these dragons. Eventually, the war of attrition is
So
going
now
to be
you're
in
making
favor.
deal with demons and devils in order to stop a war between two dragons to protect the area that'll probably get overrun by
By demons.
demons.
Or
That seems like a
But-
terrible idea.
But demons are a lot easier to take care of than dragons.
That's true. You can
Oh,
banish them back
yes.
to
And-
darkness.
actually no.
Well,
Depends on the demons.
well, if they're a bunch of lower level ones, it's not a big
I
deal.
now
But obviously,
picture
they're probably
a
going to be a lot of
stealthy-
higher level ones.
I'm now picturing a stealthy spellcaster sneaking to the dragon's lair and constantly casting enemy objects on his treasure hoard to attack the dragon.
Oh no, I like it better in casting anime object and letting all his treasure just walk away.
It's just like, goodbye.
You could also find another dragon to help quell it.
Get a third dragon involved.
Ooh, cast the gate spell at the bottom of the treasure hoard, so it kind of
So just kind of
funnels into it to somewhere else.
Sinkhole the treasure.
that seems like you guys are full of terrible adventurer ideas.
Oh yeah, we're not good.
See
people
what I got to
here.
deal with as the DM. Anyways, I think this is a great encounter concept, and I think it would be very interesting to see which way the players went.
We could catapult the volcano.
I'm sorry, what?
Yeah, just build a giant catapult, carve it around the volcano, load it on there with a bunch of people, and just launch the volcano. We effectively moved the lair of the dragon.
Is that possible?
Probably
I guess
not.
anything's possible in D&D with the wish spell.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I wish it.
It'd be like, I have this powerful ring. I wish this dispute would be ended. They just disappear. That does it. Anyways, I think that'll do it for our encounter of the podcast, Draconic Crossfire. I love the idea of just even seeing the fight take place as the adventurers are wandering around.
Side note, before we get into our match item of the day, when I saw that was a spear, I was actually genuinely shocked that you didn't somehow tie it to the Dragoon class from Final Fantasy, which is tied to dragons.
I've done the Dragoon thing already.
True, but still.
Yeah.
Like some favorite version, you can jump and then hit enemies with the amount of fall damage you take, and you take half of said fall damage, but yeah.
Yeah,
Although
that's
the-
literally the mechanic I think we used.
That was a while ago, though.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. You
Which
can
would
find
be,
it.
be freaking broken if that was being wielded by a monk.
Right.
Pretty
All right, our magic item of the podcast is the Spear of Uruk the Brave. Uruk the Brave was the greatest champion of the Empty Eye Orc tribe. He fought in hand-to-hand combat with 4 separate dragons. There's that theme.
Damn.
When Uruk finally fell against the 5th dragon, the shamans of his tribe recovered his spear, adorning it with mystics, runes, and potent fetishes.
Yeah.
That's
Cool.
got kind of kinky quick.
Cool.
The spear of Uruk the Brave has spilled the blood of dozens of dragons by now, and not only in the hands of orcs, but of those of adventurers. What do you guys think of that lore?
That's pretty
Spiffy.
badass.
Yeah, that's from 4th edition. 4th edition has great content. I don't care what anybody says.
It's true.
Stuff is gold. Somebody shouted Kaladin Stormblast. Hoorah! I love me some Stormblast. Anyway, so what is this weapon? What does this spear do? You gain a +1 bonus to your attack and roll damages made with this magic weapon.
Oh wait, there's more.
When you hit a dragon with this weapon, the dragon takes an extra 4d6 piercing damage.
Holy cow.
For the purpose of this weapon, dragon refers to any creature with the dragon type, including dragon turtles and wyverns.
And Drakes.
Drakes, I
Oh
think.
my.
When you hit with a ranged attack using this weapon, it deals an extra 1d6 piercing damage. Immediately after the attack, the weapon flies back to your hand.
So it's a javelin too.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
I probably should have made it a javelin, but
Yeah, well,
whatever.
they can figure it out.
Yeah, is it damage die for javelin the same as spear? No, spear's versatile.
Spear is
That's why I
versatile,
picked it,
yep.
because it's versatile.
Yep. 'Cause you can use it with both hands.
What, D6s? And spears are 8.
I mean, I guess
Yeah.
you can give it just a ranged attack anyway. It doesn't really.
Yeah, well, that's what the magic part of it does.
Yeah.
So, definitely, maybe I'll revisit that. But, anyways, what do you guys think about this?
That is some powerful stuff. But again, it's made to slay dragons, so that's the point.
Yeah, really, without that, it's not that powerful. It's a
Yeah.
+1 with an extra 1d6 damage if you throw it.
Yeah, without it, it basically turns into what, an uncommon weapon.
Pretty
by
much.
that
Well,
point?
it would be rare, I think, because of the
Is it
extra
rare?
damage.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's not super powerful. But that 4d6 piercing to dragons, whew, buddy,
it's a lot.
It's
Very
situational,
nice.
but
Yeah.
it's quite handy in that situation.
Yes,
for sure. Oh, look at this.
But there's some other
We're-
stuff to it.
There's more. Sentience. The Spear of Uruk the Brave is a sentient, chaotic, neutral weapon with an intelligence of 12, wisdom of 10, and charisma of 12. It has hearing and dark vision out to 90 feet.
Hey, look, a dragon! Kill that varmint!
I think I don't have very many sentient weapons on here.
No, that I'm aware of.
Personality. The Spear of Uruk the Brave is very impatient and forthright. It has no tolerance for long-term planning and or negotiation. That said, it is not stupid, and it does appreciate the value of tactical combat. It urges its bearer to engage any dragon in combat and grows enraged if refused.
I guess you can slowly sneak up on the dragon, I guess.
Hey, dragon, I'm coming for you! Ah, crap! Can't sneak when it's yelling at it, I guess. Though I don't know that it actually talks. I think it just urges you. It encourages the... I guess it does talk. Maybe it does. I don't know.
Kill it,
see.
kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it.
It encourages the wielder to enter combat to solve any other conflict as well, but it is less infuriated if refused. The spear thinks I am pathetic and cowardly because I am not an orc. It demands I prove myself now or be known forever as a weakling. When the wielder first acquires the spear, it desperately wants the wielder to prove him or herself to it. It demands that the wielder enter combat soon and encourages the wielder to seek out dragons and other deadly foes.
Kill the
Fight
dragon! Kill the dragon!
I love it.
It just wants bloodshed, man. It wants
Yes.
a good fight. It doesn't matter if you die after it. It just wants a good one.
Oh, come on, why did you just kill that guy? Problem solved permanently. You don't have to worry about him again.
Because this is a thrown weapon, I could totally see it says, kill the dragon, kill the dragon, kill the dragon. You throw it, whee! Yes! Comes back.
What's up?
Do it again, do it again, do it like a dog wagging its tail when you throw the ball.
Do it again. I haven't felt bloodshed like that in years.
It tastes so delicious. The blood of dragon fills my blade and wooden handle.
I guess.
Soak my handle in its blood. Anyways, I really like this magic item. I love the personality. It cracks me up. I can just kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it, kill it. I would have so much fun with that. I think that'll do it for our magic item, the Spear of Uruk the Brave. Austin, would you like to tell us about our Dungeon Master tip?
Sure. This was actually from 4E.
It's almost like I spent a lot of time reading 4E recently.
Yep.
Or just in general.
Yeah, it's okay. It's the cooperative story arcs. A sense of shared authorship between you and the players can begin before you start playing at the table. Meet with your group and ask them to help you create a campaign story from bottom to top. Have each player bring a pitch, a basic idea for the campaign to this meeting. The pitch is a simple sentence that describes how the player characters fit into their world. So here's a few examples. The resurrected heroes of a long-dead empire fight to prevent the disaster that claimed their civilization from destroying another.
I like that. So basically what we want to do is, hey, we're going to build a campaign. Why don't you guys bring some ideas and I can pick from them and run with it, right?
Yeah.
A couple other ones on here, I think, is outcasts and scavengers vow to gather a barbarian army and conquer the world.
Okay. I'm
Pretty
about
interesting.
it.
And
Yeah.
then bickering half-siblings set out to gather unique hems for their father's gems.
I'm assuming gems.
Yeah.
But that's
Or items, either way.
all right.
For their father's magic shop. I think that would be cool. If like your group of adventurers is going out because your dad doesn't have any good stuff and it's going out of business.
We gotta save Dad.
Yeah, I think that would be a very fun one. I think this is a great idea because we had when we had who did we just have on recently? The YouTuber Disney. Zipperon Disney.
Yep.
Was on, and this is actually one of the ideas that came through in our discussion with him, is that he likes to meet up with his players before the event, before the campaign, and get their ideas. You can do the same thing, even if it's not for the whole campaign. Maybe you're just looking for a short adventure arc, which is what this was actually about. And it definitely gets them more involved and more invested, especially if you can find a way to fit all their ideas together. So, any other points on this topic?
I don't really think there was, really.
Sorry, there wasn't any dragons in that.
Yeah, well.
It just occurred to me that there isn't dragons in either of these last two tips. Oh, well, I tried. That'll do it for our Dungeon Master tip, cooperative story arcs. For our player tip of the podcast, don't be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by giving your familiars quirks. Oh my god, I love this. Familiars are
This one
known
was
for
good.
their exotic appearances and eccentric behavior. Come up with a few visual and personality quirks for your familiar using some of these examples for inspiration. Now, if you guys ever played the Ravenloft, the Ravenloft stuff, when you're there, your familiar actually shows up as a skeleton. So that was like one of the first cool examples of this that I had seen. So in this one we have the owl. It can move eyes and beak to different parts of its head. That's weird. It hoots when it thinks it's found a mate for its master. I really
that would
like
be
that
so
one.
fun, actually.
Like every time you're in town,
and you're just like, why are you doing that? It's like, woo, woo, woo. And it's like trying to point its wing over.
dropping a dookie on somebody and marking its target. What about another one there, Austin?
Let's see here. Actually, like the falcon or the hawk. It leaves small rodent corpses in your sleeping bag because, it's just thinking you might not be able to feed yourself, so it's trying to help you.
I used to have a cat that did this.
Well, yeah.
Every day it would bring a mouse. I didn't. My grandma did. And every day you would come, there would be mice, dead mice in her thing, and it would just feed them to her.
Because it wants to.
great.
It's like, here is food. Here.
Eat. You clean out my pooper. Here.
Here is food. Take it.
Ooh, you don't have this on here, but what if was had a cat familiar, and the party's trying to sneak along through like a dungeon. Oh, you hear a log crash because the cat knocks something over.
Oh my gosh, that would be awesome. What about the rat there, Ian?
He might leave a cloud of black ash and a trail of soot as it moves around, or truth on your books or arcane focus and magic items.
What the hell happened to your spell book? Bastard rat.
And you
Keeps
just like
chewing
flip
on it.
open the book and it's there.
It's like missing a word. Oh my gosh. You could totally use that as a reason when a spell fails. Just like, oh, damn it, snitch. It's your fault. You chewed out one of the words. I can't read it.
Ooh, or the rat chewed a rat-shaped hole inside the book, and it's home now.
It just hides in there? That's awesome. What about spiders? Maybe the
Outside of
spider glows kind of a poisonous green, or constructs complex webs to mark where it has been. Like, that's really cool.
Or writes mocking words at enemies on the webs.
Oh, like Charlotte Web style. I like that.
You suck, you jackbockins.
Oh, that would
It
be
just
awesome.
creates a little web. It just says idiot.
If you're a bard and picked up the Find Familiar via a feeder, magical secrets,
Yeah, and then just
and then it's just have a spider that just talks a lot of crap in the webbing. That's
oh,
cool.
man.
What about a Pact of the Chain Imp that looks like an actual proper tiny little demon? Playing World of Warcraft, I got a little Diablo that chases me around. That's pretty cool. I would love to have one that looks exactly like a the
Creator demon.
is it the Baylor, the one with the whip?
Yeah.
And it's just constantly cracking that whip.
It's like,
Oh, I like the next line, quotes ancient texts, usually to undercut your ideas. So I'm actually picturing this small demon who's actually smarter than you,
That is not how that's
sounds-
supposed to work.
who sounds like Kelsey Grammer from Frasier.
I
oh,
love
man.
it.
That's great.
Oh my gosh. What do you guys think about this player tip?
It's just kind of like, it gives your familiars like just kind of like this stamp on like the story, right?
Yeah.
It just kind of makes it more memorable, and that's kind of what the point is, right?
Right, and because they can be forgettable
Yeah.
if you don't include them. So giving them something like this that you remember to do. I mean, I just having a spider summon named Charlotte who just talks a lot of crap. Like, I think it's hilarious.
Actually, speaking of the imp, I just pictured like a barbarian going, "Ooh, I got an idea how we can break in. I can run the doors how I can and break down with my face." The imp. What can I say? You put the wit in twit, sir.
I thought you were gonna say dimwit. I love it. There's a book I read. Oh my gosh, I can't remember
Right
the
now,
name
I'm
of
on
it.
a British accented imp butler.
I had a book that I read where the mage guy had like a 12-inch imp that just did nothing but berate him for how terrible he was, and it was crack me up every time.
Actually, I can recall one time where I once played, I think it was a fighter or a barbarian or something, who took the noble background. I also played his British butler.
I love it.
That's smart.
Well, I think that'll do it for our player tip of the podcast. Don't be a dick. And you can avoid dickitude by giving your familiars quirks.
Because it's fun. Just do it.
Absolutely is. Now, well, that was really exciting. I had a lot of fun with that. So please join us on our next episode. We'll be discussing DM's Guild, Adamantine bestseller, Puzzles, Predicaments, and Perplexities. I'm sad because this is on my list of stuff to cover for a long time, and I'm finally getting to it. So
Bazinga.
I have a lot to say about this product, so I'm super excited. That being said, you want to take that? I didn't color.
Sure. If you have any feedback, Unearthed tips and tricks, or topics you would like to discuss, please send them to us. You can email them to us at critacademy@gmail.com or find us on Twitter and Facebook at critacademy.
Okay, now I have like a British accent stuck in my head.
Well, do it with a British accent then.
We hope you've enjoyed your experience at Crit Academy. If you did, you can help others and find the show by leaving a, hopefully, 5-star review on iTunes or your platform of choice. Or you can send us a message telling us how much you have enjoyed our production. And also, be sure to give us a like and a share.
I feel like I should be sipping tea.
Yes. Would you care for the spot to tea?
Don't mind
Quite.
if I do.
Make sure to subscribe to our show at craighammy.com. Follow us on Twitch, YouTube,
All
Twitter,
those platforms.
everything. We're everywhere now. Facebook. We just had 3,000 followers on Facebook. I'm really excited by that.
It is nice.
If you consider that we were at like 1,600 in January.
Yeah, we've pretty
That's
much doubled in size in a
little over a
month.
month, yeah.
That's crazy.
Pretty fantastic. So let's keep it up. Thanks,
So,
everyone.
Speeding up fast.
So if you'd like to, when you head on over to critacademy.com, you can subscribe to our blog and all that stuff. When you do, you'll be entered to win cool prizes each and every single week.
Of course.
Make sure to also check out our fellowship members there as well at the under the Crit Nation tab. There's lots of good stuff. I cannot recommend Interparty Conflict enough. He is one of my favorite shows, and I make sure I listen to every week, and you should too. Gabe and Jeff do an awesome job. Also, check out, follow the Kind GM on Twitter. The guy has amazing articles and always just is a wonderful thing to read and just keep you in the loop on some of the cool stuff out there. He does a lot of cool Kickstarter reminders too, which I like. Also, and lastly, once back to the beginning, our new store just launched. So head on over to critacademy.com and check it out. We actually have 2 little sub ones, one for our DM's Guild book and then one for our dice and our website products. So definitely check that out. If you do purchase them, let us know what you think. We'd like to put more out for you guys. So
Yeah.
once again, thank you everyone who makes this whole production possible. If we didn't have so much support coming from you guys, our patrons, you guys really keep the show going. If there wasn't somebody else paying for all this stuff, it wouldn't exist.
Yeah, pretty much.
Paying for the hosting and all that stuff is expensive, and you guys help it. Also help make great content. So, thank you.
And today's sponsorship comes from DM's Guild and viewers like you.
There it
true.
is. I would
cool
like
PBS.
to. I would like to give a little allude to a new project that's coming out in next month in March. Words of Power is supposed to release. Basically, it's a collection of chants and spells that are not only in English, but then I've got actual magical words in Latin in them.
Ooh.
So I'm
That'll be
excited.
fun.
I'm excited to release that. So hopefully you guys will like that. If that is something you'd like, let me know.
I am always interested in stuff like that, so I can be like chanting some like cool incantation for my spells and that I can never think of.
Yeah, I watch too much. Well, for the chants are pretty cool in and of themselves. Like, I'll give you guys an example really quick. We're just gonna spend a minute on this because I'm really excited. First of all, I wrote all this stuff, but trying to get it to go from regular chants for the spells to Latin, I had to use that's the wrong one. No, that's not it at all, but thanks. So, for instance, if I pick, this one is Sacred Flame, it says, "Burn, light of my soul." And then in,
The table's not moving.
I clearly can see that, thank you. It's this one here. It is Sanctus Ignis, which is Latin for holy fire or something. So I've done every single one of the spells in the player's handbook. So it was a lot. My Thorn Whip is Crack Vine of the Wild, shit like that.
Yeah.
Because eventually you can get away with just saying the incantation instead of the spell name, which I think would be really cool. Anyways, I've kept you guys long enough, so let us wave to the camera and say thank you guys so much.
Yeah.
Support us. You guys are awesome. Psych. I'm your host, Justin.
And I'm your co-host Austin.
And I'm your co-host Ian. Thanks for listening.
Keep your blades sharp and spells prepared, heroes.
He forgot.
I did forget.
It's okay. We came back.
Also, I'd like to thank intern Seth for all the editing of the audio, freeing me up to make more content for you guys. I am really off the ball today.
Big shout outs to that guy.
Yeah, Seth,
you
you are
on the
awesome.
ball?
Yeah, okay, whatever. Intern Seth. See you guys later. I promise.
Bye.